Good evening, everyone, and welcome to one of today's session. My name is Megan, and I'm the facilitator for today. I'm joined by a lovely panelist from the Waubonsee Community College, and I'm going to go through some housekeeping items before we get started. To note that their session is being recorded. So if you're taking notes during today's session and you miss something, no worries. The session is being recorded, and you will be able to find the session recording on the IACAC website about a week after today. But while you can hear and see us, we cannot hear and see you. So therefore, you will be able to find the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen where you can ask any questions throughout the presentation. Know that the questions will be answered just in the order that they come, but Joy will get to them as we go. But I will pass it off to Joy now to get us started.
Thank you, Megan. As she said, my name is Joy Sanders. I am the admissions manager at Waubonsee Community College. And so what we're going to do tonight is go over quite a bit of information. So it'll be a lot to learn, but a lot of good information. So I hope that you're taking notes and definitely putting in any of the questions in the Q&A as you have them. So the things that we'll cover tonight are the program options at Waubonsee, talking a little bit about will your courses transfer, what happens if you're undecided, what's the difference between full-time versus part-time, and then the actual steps for our enrollment process. So that would be our new student application, placement testing options, our pre-registration review, how you would go about registering for courses, and then we'll end with a little bit of information about financial aid for those of you who think that you're going to be going through that process. So the first thing that we'll talk about is programs of study and majors. So in coming to Waubonsee or many community colleges, one of the decisions that you will need to make fairly early on is which path you want to go down in terms of programs. So Waubonsee offers two different types of programs. Transfer programs are 2-year degrees. They are designed for the student who is planning to continue their degree at a 4-year school. So the idea is that you would complete your general education requirements for your 4-year degree. So over the course of your 2 years at the community college, you would be doing your English courses, your math courses, your social sciences, your humanities and fine arts, all of those gen ed courses that everybody has to have under their belt before they get really into the weeds with the classes that are specific to their major. You do have about 6 courses that are electives at Waubonsee that you would do within your field of study if you know what that is. One of the beauties of community college is that because you're doing all of these gen eds, it allows you to sample a number of different kinds of classes at a low cost. So, we hope that if you're coming in undecided as you're going through these gen eds, something is popping out to you and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this might be a major that I want to pursue. There is an option for students who are thinking that maybe the 4-year degree isn't quite for them. So our career programs or career and technical education programs can be anywhere from 1 semester to 2 years, depending on the program. And these are really for students who want to prepare for a specific job and get into the workforce as soon as possible. So the idea with these programs is that the majority of the courses focus on the major rather than the general education courses. And the reason for that is if we want you to be employable in your field as soon as you finish this credential, all of that work or the majority of that work needs to be in that specific area. So for example, some of our more popular career programs are auto body or automotive technology or nursing or different things within the healthcare industry. So these are all things that you could potentially get done with a career program. Some of them do have options where you can transfer to a 4-year school to go on for a bachelor's degree, but as a whole, these are not designed to transfer. So if you really are unsure of your plans, in most cases, we will be working with you as if you are planning to transfer. So the question that we get from students looking to transfer is, well, how do I know that all my credits will transfer with me successfully? So Waubonsee has agreements that exist to ensure that your courses will transfer. We are a part of what's known as the Illinois Articulation Initiative, and that is an agreement between all of the community colleges and all of the 4-year public colleges in the state of Illinois. And what that agreement says is that if you finish your associate degree program with us in its entirety with the classes that we've laid out for you, all of those classes will transfer to the 4-year school of your choice. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't transfer to a private school or to go out of state. We send students all over the place in terms of transferring. But the idea is that we want you to be working with your academic advisor here at Waubonsee, as well as having a contact at any of the schools that you are considering transferring to. Because most of the time we have found that when students have issues with their classes transferring, it's coming from one of 2 things. It's either that they are not working regularly with a counselor or advisor, they're just picking their classes without any guidance or following any of the program layouts before they register each semester, or they've changed their major and they haven't told anybody. So for example, if you come in your first semester and you're telling us you want to be an education major, that's great. We're going to put you down a very specific set of courses that are relevant to education majors. But if you go a few semesters and during that time you've decided that you're going to switch to nursing, those are very different courses that you would take. And if you don't tell anyone in that change of plans, that can be sometimes where you have issues transferring. So we do want our students to know that we do have the agreements that exist to ensure that they transfer. But on your side, we want you to be working with an advisor and talking to the schools you're considering attending. So what if you're undecided on your major? Well, if you are, you're in good company. So over 60% of the students attending Waubonsee are uncertain of their major. It is 100% okay to be undecided of your major. Choosing your major is a big decision. It's something that you shouldn't rush into or take lightly. We do have resources that will help you if you're undecided, or maybe you have a few things in mind and you're really hoping to narrow it down. As I mentioned before, choosing Waubonsee does allow you a low-cost way of trying out different types of courses. So hopefully in trying out those different courses, you find something that is of a particular interest to you. If you're still kind of struggling with figuring out what your major should be, some of the specific services that we have to help you decide on a major or career would be a career exploration class. So this is actually a credit course that you can take as an elective that will be an opportunity for you to take different types of personality or strength assessments. So you'll be taking things that will ask you questions about, are you a numbers person? Are you a desk job sort of person? Do you like the outdoors? Do you like working with people? And based on how you're answering these questions, it's going to generate a list of careers that would be a good match for you based on your strengths and your preferences. And then the idea is that you're looking into those careers to see what they involve, what the outlook is as far as job availability, what the pay is in those fields. If you decide that, maybe the career exploration class isn't one of the ways that you want to go, you can do academic and career advising with us, with our academic and career advisors. You can set up an appointment to sit with them and have more of a one-on-one conversation, talk about the different careers that could be available to you, what the academic plans look like for those careers. And we also offer an opportunity for internships. So, it used to be that a lot of students wouldn't necessarily start their internships until they got to their four-year school, and they might only have one under their belt at the time of graduation. We're getting to the point now where we really are encouraging students to do their internships as soon as possible. It's a good idea to do an internship while you're at a community college. It's a good idea to do more than one internship over the course of your college experience, because that's really where you're gaining knowledge as far as if this is a career that you want to pursue, and it's helping to be a resume builder for you when you go on the job hunt after graduation. So a little bit about attendance. You might often hear attendance referred to in terms of full-time or part-time. So we want to talk a little bit about what that means. Full-time means you're attending 12 credit hours or more. And so typically that's going to be 4 or 5 courses. The overwhelming majority of courses are at 3 credits apiece. We do have a couple that are 4 and a couple that are 1, but by and large, credits will be 3 apiece per class. Part-time is going to be anything below that. So if you're at 11.9 credit hours or less, we're going to categorize you as being a part-time student. So how do you get started? What are the steps that you need to do to enroll at Waubonsee? The first thing would be filling out a new student application. And so you would do that online. You would go to www.waubonsee.edu/apply, and that's going to take you to our new student application where you'll be asked to set up an account. If you are a high school student who has an email address that's tied to your high school, we actually prefer that you use a personal email address, because quite often once you graduate, those email addresses with your high school are inactivated. And we do have communication that we'll want to be sending to you up until the point of starting classes, so we want to be able to reach you. So placement testing. If you are a degree-seeking student with us, you will be required to either complete placement testing or provide us with some sort of measure that shows us that you're college ready. And you can do this in a number of different ways. You can submit a qualifying ACT or SAT score. You can potentially use your high school GPA. You can use the GED or the HiSET, or you can take AccuPlacer placement testing with us. So to be able to use your ACT or your SAT, and again, this is for all students who are degree seeking. If you took the ACT, we would like for you to have a 19 or higher on the English and the reading section. And 19 or higher on those two sections will say to us that you are college ready. We will place you into a college level English class. On the math section, we want you to have a 22 or higher. So on the ACT, 22 is what tells us you're college ready for math. The SAT, your English and your reading are actually combined into one score. So on your score sheet, you'll only see one line that refers to English and reading, and that score needs to be at a 480 or higher for us to place you into college level. And on the math, it needs to be at a 530. So you could potentially use your high school GPA. If you would like for us to evaluate your GPA to see if we can use that to place you into college level courses, what we're looking for is a cumulative unweighted, so unweighted is important here, GPA of a 3.0 or higher on a 4.0 scale. That's what's going to place you into college level English. To get into college level math, we're looking at two things. So we want you to have the 3.0 GPA. We also want you to have a fourth year of math, because the typical sequence, at least for the state of Illinois, is an Algebra 1, a Geometry, and an Algebra 2. So if you have those, we also want you to have another year of math to place you into college level courses. Depending on the college level math class that you're looking for, you may have to have completed geometry with a C or better to get into that course. And those are really course specific and something that you would talk about with your advisor. Couple important things for your high school GPA. So those are valid if you graduated high school no more than 3 years ago. The high school GPA does have to come on an official transcript. So that means that if they're sending it via postal mail, it has to come in the sealed envelope. The seal can't be broken. If they're sending it electronically, it needs to come from the registrar's office and go to our registration and records office. So what we don't want to see, what doesn't count as official, is, for example, you request a copy from your high school guidance counselor, they send it to your personal email address, you forward it to us. That's not considered an official score that we can use. So if you use your high school transcript software, most schools have some sort of service where you can go in and request and have your transcripts be sent to any of the colleges that you're considering. You want to have your Waubonsee ones sent to registration@waubonsee.edu. So GED, HiSET, or other measures. So if you took a GED exam, we're looking for a 165 on the reasoning language arts and a 165 on the math. For the HiSET, we are looking for a 15 on the reading, writing, and a 4 on the essay, plus a math score of 15. Potentially other ways that you could get placed into college level courses would be if you took placement testing at another college. So it does have to be the AccuPlacer test. If you AccuPlacer tested at another college, you can have those scores sent to us and we can use those to determine your placement. Also, if you have prior coursework, so this could mean that you took a dual credit course with us, or maybe you've got some AP credits, or maybe you attended one of the career vocational centers in the area. We could potentially look at the courses that you took that way and see if any of those will allow us to use that for placement. So if you need to take the AccuPlacer test with us, it's a 3-part test. We will only have you test in the pieces that you need. So for example, if you are able to use your ACT or your high school GPA for the English score, but not the math, we're only going to have you AccuPlacer test in the math. The sections are reading, which is an untimed multiple choice test. You can take as long as you need to do that. The right placer, this one is timed. It's a 90-minute typed essay response. So what's going to happen is you'll get a short reading passage to do. There'll be a question for you after the reading passage, and then you'll be expected to type out an essay response to that. And the next generation math is also an untimed multiple choice test. If you feel like for the right placer test, you need extended test time, we would have you work with our Access Center for Disability Resources to fill out a request to be considered for extended time for that. We do have test prep available for you. We highly encourage students go through the test prep process just to kind of get a sense of the types of questions that'll be asked, maybe find out where your weaknesses are, if there's some things that you need to study up on before going to take the test. You can sign up for test prep. It is completely free at waubonsee.edu/Plato. You do need your X number for that, so it would be something that you would do after filling out your new student application form. Once you have completed your application form and your placement testing, we'll have you do what's called pre-registration review, or PRR. And this is a 15-minute online tutorial, so you can do this anywhere that you have internet access. And it will walk you through the best ways for selecting what days and times to take your courses, how to actually go in and physically register for your courses once registration opens up. So again, it'll only take you about 15 minutes, but this is something that you will have to complete before you'll be able to register for classes. So prior to registering for courses, we strongly suggest that you meet with an admissions advisor to talk about what your plans are, select courses, have us help you set up what your schedule is going to look like. You can contact an advisor in a number of different ways. So we are on campus in person where you can make an appointment with us. We're available for phone appointments. We can work with you over email. We can also do live chat or set up a Zoom meeting to help you with any of these things. When you do schedule an appointment, they do fill up quickly. So if you're looking especially for the spring semester to set something up, we would want you to call pretty soon to set up a time for that. And then once registration opens, you will register via MyWCC, which is your student portal where all of your information once you become a student will live. As far as the course options, we've got a number of different types of formats that you can take courses in. So as you all know, a lot of classes at a lot of institutions or the schools that you're currently in are moving to online. We certainly have that as an option, but the full list of learning options would be a face-to-face. So we do actually have courses that are happening physically on our campuses with set meeting times where you go into a classroom and have the more traditional experience that most of you are probably used to. The online format is completely online. So what that means is that there is no set time that you would need to go in and do the schoolwork. You will get a syllabus that will have all of your assignment due dates and all of the information that you'll need for the course, but whether you're going on to do that at 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 in the afternoon, it's up to you based on what's best for your schedule. A hybrid is a class that has meetings where at least once a week there is a fixed meeting time where you'll come to campus to participate in a face-to-face classroom session, and the other piece of the course is online. And the online piece of the course is not structured, so that would be something that you would do at your own availability based on your schedule. Sync online is an option where it's an online course, but it is a live course. So there is a set meeting time where you would be expected to log in, and it would be doing classes like over Zoom, probably what some of you are most used to doing currently. Flex gives you the option to switch between the formats that you're doing the class each day. So for example, if you're in a flex course, you might decide one day that you do want to come face-to-face and sit in on an actual in-person session. You might decide the next week, you know, I can't come face-to-face for whatever reason, or I'm choosing not to. You might choose to do your work that week online in that format. So we do have the link at the bottom of the page that talks a little bit more in detail about these different types of options. You can take classes in a mix of options, so you don't have to pick the same format for all of your courses, and we can walk you through how to decide what mix of courses might be best for you. So tuition and fees, and this is based on the fall 2020 semester. This will also be the same rate for spring 2020 or 2021, my apologies. We charge by the credit hour, as most community colleges do. Our current rate is at $140 per credit hour. That is your tuition and your student fee. As I mentioned before, most courses are 3 credits, so you're looking at a total of $420 per class. For a full-time student, so that 12 credit hour threshold that we were looking at, you're at $1,680 per semester. This again is your tuition and your student fees. It does not include your textbooks or any additional materials. So we always advise students budget for at least $350 to $500 for each semester for your books. And then if you have any other costs associated with your class, for example, if you are in the automotive program and you need to purchase your own tools, or you're in a nursing program where you need to purchase some sort of uniform, those would all be costs that are separate from your tuition. We do have payment plans available. So the earlier that you register for courses, the more time that you have to pay. You can stretch it across a larger number of installments. We do recommend that you complete your FAFSA form or your Illinois application for alternative financial aid if you're planning to have your financial aid hold your spot in your courses. Once you've registered for your courses, you'll get an email and a postcard from us that will have an assigned new student orientation date on it. So currently our new student orientation sessions are held online via Zoom. We hope at some point we can resume having, you know, some sort of in-person session, but for the time being, it is an online program. So just once you register for courses, be on the lookout for your notification of what your assigned orientation date is. And at new student orientation, we will be going through pretty important things that you need to know before you start classes. Things like our course management system, Canvas, which is where all of the content for your courses, particularly if you're online, are going to be living. It's primarily where your instructors will communicate with you, that sort of thing. So we'll be talking about how that system works. We'll be talking about the different support services that are here for you once you get here, so that if you need help with something, you can find out where you can go get that. We'll be talking about just some basic logistical types of things that you should know before starting courses, and it's giving you an opportunity to meet with your classmates that you'll have in your courses as well. So if you do have any questions about those things, we'll have you give a call to the admissions office. Our phone number is there, or you can email at admissions@waubonsee.edu. We do have our admissions advisors staffing that during our regular working hours, so we can have somebody get back to you as soon as possible. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about financial aid. So what is financial aid? Financial aid can come in a variety of formats. It can be gift aid, which would be scholarships, money that's granted to you that you don't have to pay back, or through grants. And those grants could either be Pell Grants through the federal government, MAP grants through the state of Illinois, or the SEOG, which is a supplemental grant that, depending on income, students may have that on top of their other grants. The other type of aid would be self-help aid. So that would be loans, whether they're subsidized or unsubsidized, and work study or employment programs. So going back to loans for a second, the difference between a subsidized and an unsubsidized loan: if you have a subsidized loan, the interest on the loan is being paid for you while you're in classes. If you have an unsubsidized loan, the interest is accruing. Nobody is paying that while you're in classes. And so all of those things that I just talked to you about are things that can come out of filling out the FAFSA. So the grants, the loans, the federal work study, those are all potential things that you could be offered as a result of completing the FAFSA. What the FAFSA is looking at is an overall cost of attendance. So that can include your direct costs, which is your tuition and fees, your books and your supplies, or your room and board. Now at a community college, or particularly at Waubonsee, we don't have room and board. So those costs would be if you have an apartment off campus and you have to pay rent, or maybe you really don't have room and board to pay because you're still living at home. But other costs that are being taken into consideration are the indirect costs. So that can include your transportation costs, your personal expenses, all of those things outside of your tuition fees, school supplies. So to be eligible to get financial aid, you do have to complete the FAFSA form. The FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and free is the key word here. We say that because there are a lot of organizations or individuals out there who will offer help for the FAFSA form, but will charge you for that help, or will tell you that you need to pay a fee to have your FAFSA submitted. That is not the case. That's why they call it the free application. So if anybody is asking you for payment in helping to fill out the FAFSA, navigate away from that page or away from that person, because that is not something that you should be doing. To be eligible for the FAFSA, you do have to be pursuing an associate's degree or a certificate that has at least 16 credit hours in it. You have to be an eligible U.S. citizen or non-citizen. You have to be registered with the Selective Service, so that typically is for the gentleman. You must have a valid social security number, and you do have to have a high school diploma or a GED. Now, if there are any of these requirements that you don't meet, unfortunately, you won't be able to complete the FAFSA, but you will be able to complete the alternative application for Illinois financial aid. So to be able to do that alternative application, the qualifications are: you have to be an Illinois resident, you have to be attending an Illinois college, you must be seeking a degree, and you cannot be eligible for the FAFSA. So on these two things, you're doing one or the other. You would not complete the FAFSA and the alternative application. It would be an or. As far as the processing results, so for both applications, once you submit those, you'll get an email confirmation sent to you that it has been submitted. The schools that you list on those forms are sent a copy of your results. So you can list multiple institutions. We all have our own identification number to put on there. So whatever institutions you're considering, please be sure to add those to the forms so that we all get that information. It does take up to 5 days to process everything. Follow-up communication will come to you via the email address that you provide on the form. So be checking your email often. Follow up with the schools that you selected. A lot of students think, okay, I filed the FAFSA, I'm done, I've got financial aid. There's typically additional steps that are required, and your school should be communicating with you on what those are. But be checking your email, be calling or emailing them back if you have any questions on what those requirements are, because typically you do have to have all of those extra things in place before that financial aid can be there to hold your spot in your classes. Another source of aid would be scholarships, and there are a number of different ways that you can be looking for scholarships. So the state of Illinois offers scholarships at Illinois Student Assistance Commission, or ISAC.org. Universities and colleges typically have their own grants and scholarships that they give through a foundation or an endowment of something along those lines. You can look for private scholarships, so that could be through community organizations or social service organizations. Maybe your employer or your parent or guardian's employer has a scholarship opportunity that you can search for. There are academic and athletic scholarships available through most colleges. The College Board does have scholarship opportunities listed with them. FastWeb is a reliable scholarship source, as is Scholarship Resource Network Express. So the reason that we've listed these is because we know that they are reputable. They're not scams of any kind. These are all legitimate places that you can be finding scholarships. Waubonsee's scholarship application should be coming out the first week of November. And so the nice part about that application is that you will answer the questions on the application, and based on how you answer those, you will be put into the pool for any scholarship that you're eligible for. And we give scholarships based on a number of different things. Some of them can be based on your GPA or test scores. Some of them can be based solely on what major you're considering. Some of them might be based on what high school you graduated from or what town you live in. So not everything is grade based. That's why we encourage everybody to fill out a scholarship application form. You do have to have your X number to fill out the scholarship application. So you'll need to fill out the new student application before being able to fill out the online scholarship application. So if you are planning to apply for financial aid, you can get hands-on help with completing the FAFSA. You can request an appointment with our financial aid team. They will have somebody who will meet with you for a half-hour meeting to go through how to fill out that form. Those meetings can be scheduled on Wednesdays between 9 and 11 or on Fridays between 1 and 4. And in the financial aid section of Waubonsee's website, you will see a box where you can select your appointment time to sign up for one of those. If you do have any questions about financial aid, whether it's filling out the form or questions about things after you've submitted, you can contact Waubonsee's financial aid office. We've got the email address and the phone number there. They are also available via chat on MyWCC. Okay. And so if you have any questions, there's just one more resource or reiterating the contact information for financial aid. And that is all the information that we have for you. So please, 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 if you go through this process and you come across any questions, please give us a call, send us an email, catch us on chat. Excuse me. We want to be able to help you with anything that we can. Thank you.
Joy, thank you so much on all of that great information. I went to community college as a college student, so I highly enjoy all of this great information that you shared. So thank you so much. And to our attendees, know that again, their session was being recorded, so you can view the session later to get the information as well as the contact information for admissions and financial aid. And have a great rest of your evening, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.